Please rise while the colors are posted.
Ready, Paul. Post colors. Present arms.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Two.
Please remain standing for our opening prayer. Joel Abelove will lead us in prayer.
Almighty God, you who are the source of our life, strength, and purpose, in your presence alone we find help, hope, and life. Guide us during this hour of fellowship and reflection to be grounded with a healing reminder of your love to all whose lives we touch this day. For it is in your glory we gather and offer our prayers. Amen.
Amen.
Stand up. Left face. Column left, march.
Please be seated. Good morning. I'm Peter K. Goebel, the Director of the Rensselaer County Veterans Service Agency. We've gathered here this morning to honor a deceased Rensselaer County veteran for the month of April, and that veteran is Walter H. Bethel. We are honored to have with us this morning his family members, his nephew, Walt DeBell, and his niece-in-law, Nancy DeBell. Good morning. Thank you folks for being here. Also with us today to honor our Veteran of the Month are representing Congressman Paul Tonko, Colleen Williams, representing Congressman Antonio Delgado, Ryan O'Sullivan. We have former Congressman Mike McNulty, New York State Assemblyman Jake Ashby, Rensselaer County Executive Steve McLaughlin, Rensselaer County Legislative Chairman Mike Stammel, Rensselaer County Legislative Vice Chair for Finance Bob Loveridge, Rensselaer County Legislative Majority Leader and Chairman of the Legislative Veterans Committee Ken Harrington, Rensselaer County District Attorney Mary Pat Donnelly and her Chief of Staff Susan Mullen Caliphate, and Colonel Milt Kelly from the Watervliet Arsenal, and Mr. Matt Day. We also have County Legislators Scott Bendette, Dan Cassell, Mark Fleming, Tom Grant, and Carol Weaver. As we are all well aware, Memorial Day and Veterans Day are special days to remember all of our veterans. This program is created to help us honor our veterans all year round. To us here in Rensselaer County, every day is Veterans Day. The Rensselaer County Honor Deceased Veteran Program represents veterans organizations throughout the entire county. This includes members of the American Legion, Disabled American Veterans, Veterans of Lansingburg, Military Order of the Purple Heart, Marine Corps League, Veterans of Foreign Wars, Korean War Veterans, Tri-County Council of Vietnam-era Veterans, Heroes at Home, Combat Veterans Motorcycle Association, Vietnam Veterans of America, AMVETS, and the Rensselaer County Veterans Service Agency. I will now ask Mike Stammel, Rensselaer County Legislative Chairman, and the assembled county legislators to come forward to tell us about our honored veteran for the month of April, Walter H. Bethel.
morning. My name is Mike Stammel, and I'm the chairman of the Rensselaer County Legislature, and I welcome you here for our Honor of Deceased Veterans program. Each month we are joined by elected officials, representatives of veteran service agencies, and members of the community to celebrate the life and service of our brave deceased veterans. During our program, we generally describe the younger days of the veteran, their experiences during their service, and the life and family that they built when they came home. Sadly, this month is a little different. I will let you know why. This month we are celebrating the life of Walter H. Bethel. Walter was born on November 12, 1924 in Milford, Massachusetts. Walter was one of 4 children born to Walter and Natalie Domney Bethel. Walter has 2 sisters, Doris and Olive, and 1 brother, Robert. Walter was still a child when his family moved to Pleasantdale in Rensselaer County and later moved to Cohoes when he was a teenager. Walter attended Lansingburg schools and Cohoes High School. After high school, Walter went to work as a machine operator at the Field and Hatchet Knitting Company in Cohoes. Days after the attack on Pearl Harbor, Walter enlisted in the United States Navy in Albany, New York on December 11, 1941. Shortly thereafter, Seaman Bethel was assigned to the destroyer, the USS Ingram, which had been launched on February 15, 1941. Walter participated in the performance testing of the USS Ingram along the East Coast before the destroyer was assigned to the highly dangerous and vital duties as a merchant convoy escort. In 1942, the USS Ingram escorted convoys between the U.S., Iceland, and United Kingdom, bringing desperately needed supplies to the Allies to slow Hitler's advance and to take the offensive. The USS Ingram was under constant threat during these critical escort operations and extended to Europe and to the far south as the Panama Canal. On August 22, 1942, the USS Ingram was investigating a collision between the destroyer, the USS Buck, DD-420, and a merchant vessel. The USS Ingram began to thread its way through the convoy in thick fog while maneuvering across the area throughout to clear of the ships. Suddenly, in sighting of a towing bow of the USS Navy oiler USS Chemung materialized out of the fog, only a few hundred feet from the ship's broadside. And on the direct collision course, no alarm sounded aboard the Ingram before the Chemung bow slammed into the Ingram and sliced it completely through the hull, coating the ship and the surrounding sea with a spray of burning fuel oil. The force of the collision and the fully landed tanker momentum caused the Ingram to flood and sink, and took nearly every man stationed on it to the bottom of the Atlantic. Those on the Ingram bow had a few more seconds to get clear of the section of the ship that was left bobbing vertically in the water. As the ship flooded, capsized, the bow section threw dozens of men into the water before crashing down on top of them. Moments later, several heavy explosions occurred. Below the surface of the explosion, munitions on board the Ingram began to detonate. The resulting blast shockwave caused heavy loss among the already few survivors floating on the waters of the surface. By the time the Chemung crew completed the retrieval of the Ingram survivors from the oily waters of the fateful night, only 11 of the 208 men crew was recovered. Sadly, Walter was not one of them. Walter was not one of them. 17-year-old seaman, second-class Walter Bethel, was among the many who were officially listed as missing after the tragic accident. At this time, during our honor of vet ceremony, we usually describe the life the soldier had when he returned home. It has been some time since we've honored a deceased veteran who never made it home. 1 year later, on August 23, 1943, the Secretary of the United States Navy officially declared Walter H. Bethel as deceased. For his honorable service to his country, Seaman Second Class Bethel has posthumously awarded the American Campaign Medal and the European African Middle Eastern Campaign Medal. Walter is survived by his parents, Walter and Natalina, his sister Doris and Olive, and his brother Robert. Walter has an in memory of military marker at the Gerald B. H. Solomon National Cemetery in Schuylerville, New York. And his name is on the tablet of the East Coast Memorial in Manhattan, New York. On behalf of the Rensselaer County Legislature, I extend the deepest sympathies to the family of Walter Bethel, a young man who made the ultimate sacrifice to his country during this time of war. He will be ever grateful to Walter's service and to the service of all the soldiers of the USS Ingram with him on that fateful night. Thank you for allowing us to honor Walter's service. With that, I can only say that we always know the hardships that may occur when our servicemen go overseas, but we really don't feel the full impact until they don't come home. And I had a family member who was killed in the Korean War, and never came home for about 12 months there, 11, 12 months until after his death. And I know that was a heartbreak for my family, and I've heard many stories about it. Along with myself and the Rensselaer County Legislature, we'd like to provide you this plaque that in memory of Walter and his service to our country, and in remembrance of not only just Walter, but everybody else who supported that vessel at that time. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
I will now ask Colleen Williams, representing Congressman Paul Tonko, and Ryan O'Sullivan, representing Congressman Antonio Delgado, to come forward.
Thank you, Peter. And thank you and Lonnie for all you do for the veterans here in Rensselaer County. We appreciate your work every single day. Good morning, everyone. It's an honor to be with you here this morning, to join with our many elected officials at all levels of government, to join with our veterans here, and most importantly, to join with the family of Walter Bethel. It is an honor and a privilege to join you here this morning on behalf of Congressman Paul Tonko. He regrets he could not be here today to extend his condolences and his appreciation for Walter's service. As Chairman Stammel mentioned, it's rare that we honor a veteran who has not returned home, and a veteran who's so young when losing their life. But I'm certain that Walter experienced more in those nearly 19 years of his life than most have in generations. So today I have here a letter and a certificate from Congressman Tonko that he asked that I come here today, and I have the letter. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I am going to read a small portion here that I think applies to today's ceremony. In name of Seaman Second Class Bethel, I arrange for an American flag to be flown over the Capitol building in Washington. The flag symbolizes in part the vigilance, perseverance, and valor required to establish and sustain our democratic republic, a place where justice and opportunity may be pursued in peace. My sincere hope is that you will forever cherish this tribute, just as we resolve today to cherish the memory of Seaman Second Class Bethel. And we certainly do cherish his memory. And with that, Ryan, anything you'd like to say?
Just one thing I'd like to say. Good morning, everyone. My name is Ryan O'Sullivan. I am here for the Congressman Antonio Delgado. He couldn't make it here today, unfortunately, and do apologize. But it is an honor to serve the veterans in the veteran community. I served 9 years Marine Corps and infantry in Iraq 3 times, and I have an understanding of losing fellow family members to combat and stuff like that. So it's an honor to be here. I'm going to be here every month, and I'm going to be here honoring the veterans every month. And hopefully we can share this down to the lower counties and the counties around our district, like Dutchess County and Sullivan County and stuff like that. Other counties have this as well, which is fantastic, but we should do a lot more. But thank you again for your service and his service, and thank you. Sorry. Thank you.
I will now ask our Rensselaer County Executive, Steve McLaughlin, to come forward.
Thank you, Peter. Good morning, everyone. It's a honor, pleasure to be here with my colleagues in federal, state, local, and county government, and also Congressman McNulty, who was instrumental in starting these ceremonies, along with our veterans organizations here and our Veterans Committee here in the county, and Colonel Kelly from the Arsenal is here as well, and on behalf of all the important work they do over there preparing this nation. But usually we talk a lot about the veteran and then how they came home and picked up their life and continued on in their work and building their community. And Walter clearly, sadly, did not have that chance, and you look at the dates and how fast everything happened. You know, he was barely 17. He was just a month. He was really a 16-year-old kid. He just turned 17, and it's 5 days after Pearl Harbor, and I'm sure he ran down with a whole bunch of other teenagers to enlist, doing their duty, and then within a year or so, he's gone. So, and the chaos of that night, when just hearing that, it had to be unbelievably chaotic there in the North Sea, off of the coast. And the lack of technology back then, the incredible job they all did with that lack of technology is amazing. But on a night like that, when they were hunting for a sub, and communications got crossed up, and the collision happened, it had to be just pure chaos. So an incredible short life, but he was a hero, certainly, for stepping up and doing his duty like so many other young men and women back then. They were not in combat back then, but they were certainly doing their duty, building airplanes and ships and everything else. So it was a complete team effort by this nation, and certainly that's why they are called the greatest generation. But we're honored to be able to honor Walter today and thank him for his service. Thank you.
I will now ask Dan Cassell, representing New York State Senator Daphne Jordan, to come forward.
Good morning. Good morning. I'm here representing New York State Senator Daphne Jordan. Senator could not be here with us today, but she asked me to pass on warmest regards to all. I'd like to say a few words for the Senator on her behalf. The United States of America owes a profound debt of gratitude to its veterans that never can be repaid. We forever honor the service and sacrifice, remember the courage and commitment for those that gave their lives for their beloved nation. The true heroes like Walter Vettel, United States Navy veteran who memorialized today. Therefore, at this time, I would like to present Walter Vettel's family with a New York State Senate proclamation and a New York State Liberty Medal. It is New York State's highest honor. It is presented to citizens who have merited special commendation for their actions on behalf of their fellow New Yorkers. Thank you and God bless.
I will now ask New York State Assemblyman Jake Ashby and New York State Assemblyman John McDonald III to come forward.
Thank you, Peter. Good morning, everybody. It's certainly a privilege and an honor to be here today. It's good to see Congressman McNulty here from the Arsenal as well. And it is a somber morning in remembrance that we have this morning. And you know, coming up on Memorial Day, I think it's appropriate as well. But we're called to remember this sacrifice. So although Seaman wasn't able to come home, he made the ultimate sacrifice. So many of our young men do. The intensity of that sacrifice and the strength of his resolve while he was deployed is worthy of our memory, and that memory lives on, and it allows others to carry on and make sure that we remember it on a daily basis. You know, when a loved one doesn't come home, that's something that I know everybody in this room would or does feel at a certain level. I know Congressman McNulty knows what that feels like, and I'm sure it played a part in his starting of this ceremony. And I agree absolutely with my colleague from Congressman Delgado's office. I think this is something that every county should have. Speaking directly to the Bethel family, his sacrifice lives on today. And it's something that I'm going to remember because August 22nd is my birthday. So that's something that I'm going to remember. And then the following year after that is VJ Day, I believe, too. So in honor of Seaman Bethel, the New York State Assembly and the New York State Senate, I have a certificate from Senator Breslin as well. I'd like to present you with these. Thank you.
Tim Forbes from the Rensselaer County Honor Deceased Veteran Committee will present the committee plaque at this time. Will the committee members please stand?
On behalf of the Honor Deceased Veteran Committee, the citizens of Rensselaer County, and everybody, the veterans here assembled, please accept this plaque in memory of Walter. Thank you for his service.
Please stand for the closing prayer and text.
Day is done, gone the sun, from the lake, the hill, and the sky. All is well. God of compassion, dignity, and strength, watch over this veteran and his family. Bless him and grant his family comfort and everlasting peace. Amen. Amen.
Retire the colors. This concludes our Honor Vet ceremony for this month. Thank you for coming to honor our deceased veteran for the month of April, Walter H. Bethel. Please join us for our next Honor Veteran ceremony scheduled for May 13th. Before we go our separate ways, we will take a few family photos. The flag will be raised at a different time and will be presented later. We will now proceed outside this room to the Hall of Heroes for the 2018 consolidated plaque unveiling of all the veterans honored in 2018. Thank you again.